Imagine you are a piece of a shit of a human being. And by that, I mean you smoke, you drink, you do porn, you hang out with your friends and you talk about stupid things. Today, as you're driving home, you see 5 police officers. They all happen to be white or black or blue. These days, it really doesn't matter anymore. And there is this young kid, maybe white kid, maybe black kid, maybe brown kid, just getting beaten up. Now, you see something, but that by itself is not enough. You see something and it inspires curiosity. What the hell is happening? That curiosity within a matter of maybe a couple of seconds turns into anger. And that anger enrages you. As you're driving home, you say, do you really need like 5 police officers with batons beating this 18-year-old kid who's like a mouse, tiny little thing? And then you go home. And then you pick up some books off of your shelf. Politics, society, the social structure. And you realize that this is more just a moment of inspiration. You've been infected by what you witnessed, and it has robbed you of sleep. You don't want to talk to your friends. You don't want to text your friends. You don't want to look at your phone. You don't want to watch TV. All you want to do is just swim in ideas that you find in books. Days pass, and you find yourself more enveloped in these books and ideas. 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. And one day you just get up, you look at your phone, and you delete all of your contacts. You drop your major in, say, computer science, and you say, you know what, I'm going to do history, psychology, and economics. And then you become a very solitary animal. You come to school with 10 books. During your free time, you sit somewhere and you read. And you realize that all of a sudden, for the first time in your life, your mind is taking you to places that your feet can't. That you're beginning to ask questions you never did, and you like yourself. It's painful because you realize that you want to create an environment where there is fairness and justice and equality, but you're just a young lad. You know, you don't really have the power to create any social change. And that frustrates you, annoys you. And you realize, let's just say your husband reading a book about Karl Marx, but your husband is just reading it. You are feeling it. And you sit with your husband and say, well, you know, Karl Marx said A, B, C, D. And he says, well, let me tell you what exactly he means. And he said, I know what he says. All I'm telling you that the idea is burning me from the inside. You're just like playing with these ideas. These ideas are no longer a toy for me. And all of a sudden there is this gap between you and your husband now, okay? And so the more pain injected inside you, the loftier, the more reflective, the more insightful you'll become. So the answer to your question is pain. But you need to do something with pain. If there is pain and you have no tools to combat pain, if you have no tools to make it more creative, to make something from it, then pain takes you to sadness. Sadness takes you to sorrow. Sorrow turns you profoundly lonely. And if you're not careful, you'll get depressed. If you're not careful, you'll get chronically depressed. And then you'll be unreachable. And yet the entire world down here will taste nothing for you, will smell like nothing for you. You'll have no interest in it. Let's say you're in this great relationship. I mean, by great, I mean, you know, you guys have a house, and a car, and a job, 5, 6, 10 kids, and you got great parents. There's nothing wrong with your life. But it's just life. And you've forgotten how you met your companion, how he or she used to write poetry for you, how Valentine's really meant something, how sex meant something, conversations meant something. Now it's just, you're in a comfort zone, and that's a great place to be. And you go to a gathering or a party, or you take a class, or whatever the case may be, and someone looks at you and you feel some tingles, something you haven't felt for a long, long, long time. And you say, man, that feels really good. I mean, my husband or my wife gives me a lot of attention, but usually when they give me attention, I don't really feel anything. I just like it. You know, this person gives me attention and I'm about to pee my pants. And so they keep looking at you and they eventually come up and talk to you. And it's a dance that all of us play, which is you're flirtatious. First, it's through the eyes, you know. Then, you know, it's like your voice happens to be very like aggressive. Hey, how you doing? And now it says, hey, how are you? What's going on? And so we become flirtatious in all sorts of like weird ways. And you forget that you're married, you forget that you got kids. And you know, even though you know it's inappropriate, you text this person saying, thank you, it was good to meet you. And this poor unintelligent fellow thinks that it's just a simple couple of words, but no, he is set your life on fire, you know, or she. And then time passes and you realize that every time you look at your companion, you want to like vomit or you have diarrhea. And then one day you go home and you say, I'm leaving you. What the hell? Yeah, why? And it doesn't mean that you're gonna go with this guy or this gal. It just means that this particular emotion brought you to life. And when you go home, your home environment, there's nothing wrong with it, but there are no wings in there. And even if you had wings, you can't really fly. And even if you were to fly, people would punish you and condemn your kids, your husband, your wife, your parents. So you just clip your wings by the door, you put them by the door side and just go in and just... But you go in now and what you have now is conscience. There's a part of you that remembers, knows how it feels to be alive and how it felt to fly up there. And as you're washing dishes and you're having sex with your companion, as you're playing with the kids, you just know and feel, and it's just right there. You have wings, what are you doing? And now the conflict begins. And then the task is, will you choose a world that's unknown? Or will you choose a world that's known to you? And that's a very, very, very difficult place to be. And it's a place that I don't recommend for anyone to be in. Because if you have a life, it's always dangerous. And by having a life, I mean, my sister's son, Arman, he is in Ohio doing dental school. He's 24, 25, he'll be done in a couple of years. He's at a different stage in his life, you know. So he just came from Ohio to visit us, and he came to this class. And so my sister calls and says, Amir, Arman wants to come to your class again. Can you tell him not to? Why? Because he's asking questions. He wants to drop dentistry and go into like the social sciences, i.e. philosophy or religious studies. And this guy is so close. And we are immigrants. Immigrants don't major in the arts because we know the difficulties and complexities of life and difficulties of money and poverty and all those things. So when you look at Asians, when you look at Middle Easterners and Indians, they really go into computer science and want to be doctors and engineers. Part of it is cultural. The other is, you know, as a people, you've come to understand the difficulties of life. And so you don't choose to play the piano, you choose to be a surgeon. Not because you love people, but because you love money. And that money pays for your parents, pays for your kids, pays for your relatives, pays for your community. And so the point I'm trying to make is, in as much as I think all of us covet a life that's profoundly exotic, like an Elon Musk or a Magnus Carlsen or a Malcolm X, the truth is the inner world of these people they live in isolation. And it's a very traumatic existence. Malcolm X's life is traumatic. Jesus' life is traumatic. Even though we look at these literature, these books, and we say, wow, this is a beautiful bumper sticker. You know, when this guy is asked a question and he generates this story, don't just look at the story. This is a guy who left his parents at the age of 12. This is a guy who saw his father being hanged. You know, in his words live blood, live pain, lives confusion, annoyance, irritation. You know, that's a lot of stuff that these bumper stickers have. We only take it as a bumper sticker. So in as much as all of us in this class desire to fly, it is profoundly dangerous. Now, having said that, one of the reasons that for the longest time in our human history we've had cults is because, good cults, I'm not talking about today, because people like the Buddha, like Socrates, like Aristotle, like some of the ones in India, they all knew the dangerousness of ideas. They all knew that deep down all human beings desire to fly. But just because you desire to fly, it doesn't mean it's good for you. Sometimes a desire should simply remain a desire without it ever becoming applicable.